Hey everyone, it is Dave. Welcome in. It's time to talk about module number 5. This week we have one lecture which is on motion and the illusion of motion, and more importantly we have a documentary. It's about a lady who buys a painting at a thrift shop and she pays $5 for it, buys it as a joke, and it turns out that this could be an undiscovered work by Jackson Pollock, which today she's asking $50 million for this painting. So the documentary walks us through her authentication process, but there's still a lot of issues about the painting out there. So it's a really fascinating story. That's going to link to the journal for this week. And also this week, we need to submit a museum proposal. So every semester, you're charged with visiting a museum in an Art 100 class. And so I'm going to have the project explained to you in the module, and then all you're going to submit to me is this is where I'm going to plan to visit. This is my timeline in terms of getting the project completed. So with that, let's head over to the Canvas site. I'll walk you through everything you need to know for module number 5. All right, here we are on the Canvas site. Module 5 is what we're going to go through today. And up top, we have our usual suspects, the video that you're watching right now, my office hours every Monday and Wednesday from 4:30 to 7, and our action plan for the week. As far as this week goes, it's a little bit different than most weeks, as we have both one lecture and a film. This is the first of, I think, 2 films that we're going to be watching over the course of this semester. We've got the lecture and documentary, the objectives this week. I need you to submit a museum visit proposal, and journal number 5 ties into the film this week. So I'll show you all about that. We've got our first lecture, Motion and the Illusion of Motion, the study guide, and then the further exploration section. We've got our readings up here, and then we've got our videos. Nude Descending a Staircase, we've seen that painting when we talked about abstraction. Metropolis 2 deals with kinetic art. Jackson Pollock painting, this is a great film. It's actually voiced over as well by Jackson Pollock, so you can hear his actual voice. And it's the only film we have of him actually painting. This is action painting. He is part of the Abstract Expressionist group, and that'll be explained in that lecture. And then if you have some free time, I suggest watching the movie Pollock. I've got the trailer here and also part of the movie here. Just a couple minutes for each of those. But this was a movie that was up for Best Picture, scary to think 25 years ago now, and all of the actors in the film were up for Academy Awards. That's how good this film was. And it's one of those films where even before I was into art, I actually watched it and I really enjoyed it. So it's something maybe after the end of the semester or on fall break, if you have some time, it's a great film. Speaking of great films, we have a documentary this week. Now, this is the film here. It is just over an hour in length. I think it's about an hour 10, hour and 15 minutes. So make sure to set aside time for that. That's Terry Horton right there, the person who found the painting. I'm going to skip the movie guide for right now because that's actually going to be down here in Journal 5. For the further exploration section, there's a short article about Terry Horton and also a actual interview via video of Terry Horton, so you can actually see how she looked and acted later in life. So I hope you enjoy those. Jumping down to journal number 5. So the movie guide is very much like the study guide that you have for your different lectures. Up top, instead of vocabulary, you have a list of all the major characters in the film. And I put them in order of appearance. What are you going to write down under these names? Your thoughts and ideas, questions, comments about the people themselves. You are going to have a lot more writing about Terry Horton, because she's a crazy grandma type of figure, compared to Nick Carone, who is only in the film for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. So keep in mind that you're going to write more under certain characters than others. And again, it's your thoughts, your ideas. There's no correct or incorrect answer here. But down below, I tend to ask some more pointed questions about the film. Once you've watched it, do you think Terry's painting is an authentic Jackson Pollock painting? Why does Thomas Hoving believe this painting is not an authentic painting? Where do you see division amongst the social classes? Who's the most trustworthy? Some definitions of some terms. And even like, who is your favorite character by the time the film's over? It's, again, something you want to watch. You only need to watch it one time. And there are going to be also some questions on the midterm exam. In fact, this may be one of the essay questions on the midterm exam. So, again, make sure to read through the questions prior to watching the film. Please do not use AI to complete this project. And as usual, this is going to be turned in at the very end of this semester in Module 16. You can upload this as a separate document. If you're doing one Google Doc for everything, sometimes people don't like to reformat this into a Google Doc since it's already a separate document. That's okay. Submit it separately. And that is what you're going to be doing for the journal. If you have more questions on that, please let me know. And the final thing I need to talk about is the museum visit proposal. So for this class, the school requires you to visit a museum. The instructions for that are going to be in next week's module. So for this week, what I'm having you do is just kind of plan ahead and think about what museum you're interested in going to, what you're interested in seeing, and a rough day of when you're going to be able to go and do this project. And then in next week's module, I'll explain what you need to write up to show that you visited the museum and all of that. So there'll be more detailed instructions then. But for this, all I'm asking you to go through the museum choices here. Maybe you've always wanted to go to the Getty or the Huntington, the Norton Simon, a very student-friendly museum. Maybe you can't get out that far to Pasadena or Los Angeles. Maybe you're close by and are going to go to the Huntington Beach Art Center, or a great museum, the Museum of Latin American Art, the Laguna Art Museum, and so on. Or maybe you're going to be out in Palm Springs and it's like, hey, I've heard a lot about the Palm Springs Museum of Art. That's fine too. So all you're doing is making a suggestion. It can always be changed later. And you can just go, yeah, I'm going to plan on going to this museum. Roughly on this day is when I'll have the project completed. And then also, what specific artwork are you wanting to see at the museum? If you're not familiar with artwork at these museums, go through their major pictures and see like if there's one that you're really like, wow, this is really impressive. So that's what I'm going to have you do for the project. This project is due on the 28th, and I will just respond back to it saying that it is like totally okay to go to this museum and have it completed by that date. And that is everything you need to do. This is a text box. So on your side, you'll have like a start assignment button up in the upper right. And then when you scroll down, the text box will open up down here under the assignment. So just kind of like a discussion board. And then all you do is you type in the information, click submit, and you're all set. So it's pretty simple. Again, right now, we're just making a proposal. You're not going to the museum yet. All that instruction for that project will be next week. And I believe that is everything for this module. So I will see you shortly with module number 6.